Hello everyone, I am Stephanie, an artist living in Vannes, France. Join me today while I work on another painting I did for Pangea Seed. The topic of this one is the issue of overfishing. But first, are you doing okay? I really hope so. I've been personally in an on and off mood these past months, but I really try to focus on what's good in my life and on doing art. I have had no real issue apart from, being unable to travel and the fact that you have to wear a mask, but other than that, nothing too serious. But yes, I've been a bit in a funk, I guess. And I must say art certainly is a lifesaver for me, probably the only thing that can bring me joy no matter what's happening in my life or in the world. And it's really the fastest way to not think too much and just be. Envisioning the future right now has been really the toughest part for me, but also the cancellation of an art residency this summer where I was supposed to spend 2 months in Brooklyn. I was also supposed to turn 35 in Brooklyn, and I was really looking forward to that. So I cannot say that I'm overly sad about it. It just happened and I expected it with the pandemic, but I still feel a bit numb, if that makes sense. As if I cannot be as happy or as enthusiastic as I used to be. So it's been a bit of a weird mood, a weird feeling these days, mostly numbness. I'm sure I'm not the only one, and I'm sure it's okay. I do not want to dwell too much on it, simply because, again, nothing bad really happened, and I don't really have anything to complain about. So it feels a bit silly. I'm okay, I'm healthy, I still have food, I still have money on my account, so I'm not in a dire situation. I just have been feeling a bit numb, which is not that fun. And I'm guessing many of you are probably in the same situation, so I really hope that you're doing okay. And again, doing art really helps, and not focusing too much on the world really helps as well. But let's be honest, the world has been a madhouse for a while now anyway, so it's no surprise. It's gotten worse, and it probably is going to not get better anytime soon. So I hope you're comfy wherever you are. Grab a cup of tea or hot chocolate or coffee or water or whatever you'd like to drink. I actually just zipped a soy milk chocolate with a dash of cinnamon, which was really nice. Maybe grab your art supplies and do whatever you feel like while the time-lapse happens and I uncontrollably talk about whatever pops into my mind, because that's YouTube, folks. Before I started doing this voiceover, I just prepared the visual time-lapse of this video, and it's going to be a whopping 20 minutes. I rarely do videos or time-lapses that are that long, and I'm fairly confident that I am not going to be able to talk for 20 minutes, but who knows, maybe I'm wrong. And yeah, 20 minutes for a time-lapse sounds a bit nuts. But this is how it is, and we'll see if you like it or not. And if you don't, then at least I know for next time that I shouldn't do something that is 20 minutes long. The drawing and painting itself took me a few days. I'm not exactly sure how much, but I'm guessing about 16 hours or so. For a while, I wrote down in my calendar exactly how much time I put into each artwork. And yeah, honestly, I should do that again. But let's be honest, I can't be bothered. My workflow is always a bit of a jumping back and forth between a lot of different artworks, be it sculptural or paintings or drawings. So trying to write down how much time I spent on each is a bit complex. But yeah, mostly it's just boring to write it down, so yeah, I don't. This specific painting was a bit of a struggle to prepare, though what artwork of mine has not been a struggle lately. It's like I purposely push myself out of my comfort zone every damn time. It's come to the point where I almost feel guilty if an artwork is too easy to figure out. I mean, what is wrong with me? So the specific struggle for this painting was the subject. So I knew fairly quickly that when talking about overfishing, I was going to use a fishing boat as a base for the growth or natural thing that was going to happen on top of it. However, in order for me to draw a boat, I had to understand how a fisher boat was constructed. And that took me days to just sketch out various fisher boats, to have more or less an idea on how they're done. And just between you and me, I don't think that was quite enough. I could have spent more time finding fisher boats around where I live to see how the hull is made. Because as much as I don't love my small town, it is near the ocean, so we have boats. And I actually just realized it now. I could have simply gone out and sketched some boats from real life. But I am an internet kid. I am, those pesky millennials that, prefer to use online search rather than real life. So that's what happened. I knew I specifically wanted to draw a bottom trawler, which narrowed it down a bit, but still, bottom trawlers come in different sizes and shapes. And the thing is, when you work from pictures, scale is often hard to gauge. I also used some construction plans just to really understand and grasp the overall shape. So what's the issue with bottom trawlers anyway? Well, this fishing method uses huge fishing nets that hang down from the boat to the ocean's bottom, and then they move and proceed to sweep whatever they encounter. So from the boat to the bottom of the ocean, everything that is in that space is just swept and gathered and brought back to the boat. Then they take whatever fishes sell best and they throw away the rest, often half dead, away in the ocean. So this way of fishing is arguably the most destructive, not only to living creatures, but also their habitats. Talk about collateral damage. Interestingly, there's another issue with contemporary fishing methods. The fishing nets. Most fishing nets nowadays are made, well, you guessed it, out of plastic. Yet again, what isn't made out of plastic nowadays? And the fishing nets, of course, they will get torn and they might be tossed directly in the waters. And they actually make, so it's a rough estimate, but it's been calculated that they make about 82% of all plastic pollution in the ocean. So yeah, the vast majority of plastic pollution is actually fishing nets. Not saying that the rest of plastic pollution is not important, but yeah, just to give you a scale of how much of a problem that is. And fishing nets are not just a plastic pollution problem, they're also a hazard to most marine species, because animals get tangled into them and then they suffer and end up dying. So yeah, it's pretty gloomy, to be honest, and it's a very serious issue. Conversationally, for this fourth painting for Pangaea Seed, I had the choice between talking about overfishing and plastic pollution. But in the end, both are closely linked, so in a way, I somewhat tackled both issues, I suppose. For this one's composition, I decided on a sort of reverse fishing, where the fishing boat would be swept by a tornado of various fishes. Yeah, I do like it when nature fights back. I really love the movement of fish shoals in general. I find them quite magical to look at and wanted to replicate the essence of those in this painting. I did a few fish studies just to understand how fishes move and how their overall shape is, but didn't really spend too much time on it because fishes are rather easy to draw and paint, as they have a very simple and recognizable body shape. When I started to draw out the composition on the final piece of paper using a pencil, I went with adding a massive jellyfish at the top of the fish shoal. I quite liked the idea of the fishes flowing and merging into the jellyfish. Some jellyfishes actually act a bit like moving coral reefs, hosting other lives that are immune to their sting. Scientists even discovered a lobster who was hitchhiking on top of a jellyfish head. I read about that specific anecdote in a great book about jellyfishes called Spinelets by Julie Berwald. I did take some notes, but I think I need to reread it as the book is so full of potential for art ideas for myself. I really liked that book. If you're interested in jellyfishes or in natural history in general, I would highly recommend it. Recently, I've been trying to keep a daily sketchbook. I've never really had a sketchbook practice before, although I have always kept a small notebook where I would write down ideas and quickly sketch compositions. But with my relative recent interest in 2D, I see I still need practice. I also sketch references before sculpting to get shapes in my head, and this also eased me in the whole sketchbook craze. Anyway, in that newfound sketchbook practice, I played around with a blue and light pink combination, which I really liked, and decided to keep for the painting you are seeing now. Why pastel pink, you might ask? Well, again, I blame the internet. I seem to see only pastel-colored gouache these days. Maybe it's because I'm slightly obsessed with gouache these days, and for some reason I'm drawn to pastels, which is a bit weird. And so I decided to mix some titanium white and quinacridone magenta to get that specific pink pastel. That being said, I also like the idea that the water was pink. I like drastically changing colors into something surreal. Now, you might have realized this by now if you've been following my channel for a while, but I tend to go a lot with the flow. Once I sketched out a specific idea, the rest is mostly juggling and readjusting until it works. That's also why I want to practice more in a sketchbook, to be more assertive in my choices without making detailed plans up front. I get bored if I have to sketch out an idea too precisely. I'd rather start on an artwork and somehow make it work instead of preparing it carefully and being sure of its success. Frankly, this is not something I would advise to anyone, but that's just how my brain functions. I'm curious though, how are you doing it? I've seen artists make a precise digital sketch before starting to paint anything. One artist I have in mind is 1000. He also has a YouTube channel and you probably know him. He does great work. And I saw him doing that, making a full digital sketch before attacking the actual artwork. And I mean, I can certainly see the logic of it, and I think it's a great way to approach artwork in a very professional way. But I would be so bored out of my mind if I had to make the same painting twice. So what about you? Do you go through detailed sketching and painting before starting an artwork? Or are you more like me and you just kind of wing it and make it work somehow? I know I sound so unprofessional right now. The fact that I very seldom work for clients is probably part of it. I don't have to show what I have in mind to anyone. I just do what I want. If you work with and for clients, that is very different. You want them to show them a professional sketch that they can agree on. But if you're doing fine art like I do, then it's just up to you. You're the only one who's going to decide what's good or not, and you're the ultimate client. Unless you do commission pieces, of course, but that will vary on each artist and how they do commissions. To wrap this video up, I just wanted to add some technical details about the painting. So I used my usual technique, which is to start with a sketch, with a pencil sketch. So usually I use an HB or 2B. I then proceed to draw the lines with waterproof black ink into the pen. I erase the previous pencil sketch and then I start layering the watercolor paint. At the end, I add details with gouache, often adding touches of complementary color in order to lighten up the whole painting. Here I use touches of yellow, orange, red, pink and purple to make the painting a bit more vibrant. So that's about it. Thank you so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed the talking and painting. If you did, please give it a thumbs up, comment, share, consider subscribing, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!